The first thing I learned about my family was that silence could hurt more than shouting. "Adrian, sit up," my father said. "Your brother has something important to tell us." I looked across the dinner table at Ethan. He smiled like he already owned the house. "What is it?" I asked. Ethan leaned back. "Dad is finally making the announcement." My mother, Helen, folded her hands. Lily looked at me, then quickly lowered her eyes. My father cleared his throat. "After years of watching this business grow, I have decided who will take over when I retire." I already knew the answer. "Ethan," I whispered. My father smiled. "Exactly. Congratulations," I said, forcing myself to smile. Ethan raised his glass. "To the future CEO." I lifted mine too, even though my hand was shaking. For years, I had worked in our family business without asking for praise. I handled angry suppliers, checked accounts, fixed delivery problems, and stayed late when everyone else went home. Yet Ethan only needed to walk into a room wearing an expensive suit to receive applause. I remembered every night I had stayed late, every problem I had solved, and every time I had protected Ethan from mistakes he never even knew I made. I had asked for nothing except a chance to matter. That chance was gone. My father continued. "Ethan has the confidence and leadership this company needs." I swallowed. "Dad, can I ask something?" His smile faded. "What?" "The new supplier contract." Ethan sighed. "Seriously?" I looked at my father. "The numbers don't make sense. If we sign it, we could lose a large amount of money." My father frowned. I reviewed it. I checked the figures 3 times. "There is a hidden cost in the shipping agreement." Ethan laughed. "And there it is." I turned toward him. "What?" "The reason Dad never puts you in charge. You always find problems. Finding a problem before it becomes a disaster is my job." My father slammed his hand against the table. "That is enough." I froze. He pointed at me. "You have spent years acting like you know better than everyone." "I'm only trying to protect the company." "No," he said. "You are trying to prove that Ethan cannot do what you can." "That isn't true." Ethan smiled. "It sounds true to me." I looked at my mother. "Mom." She stared at her plate. "Please," she whispered. "Not tonight." My chest tightened. "I'm not trying to fight anyone." My father stood. "You are always negative. Always quiet. Always hiding behind paperwork while your brother actually leads." "I work hard." "Hard work." He laughed bitterly. "What has it ever given you?" I had no answer. He stepped closer. "You know what your problem is, Adrian? You are worthless." The room went silent. I stared at him, waiting for my mother to say something. She said nothing. Lily finally spoke. "Dad, that's too harsh." "Stay out of this," he snapped. Ethan leaned toward me. "Maybe you should listen to Dad. You have never been good enough for this family." My throat burned. I looked at my father. "If I'm so worthless, why did you give me all those responsibilities?" "Because I made a mistake." That sentence hurt more than anything else. My father pointed toward the hallway. "Pack your things." I blinked. "What?" "You heard me. Leave." "Dad, where am I supposed to go?" "That is not my problem." "Please." I said leave. I pushed my chair back slowly. Nobody stopped me. I walked upstairs and entered my room. My hands trembled as I pulled a bag from the closet. I packed 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, my old laptop, and a small photograph of my family. I almost left the photograph behind. Then I remembered being a child, sitting between my parents while Ethan stood proudly beside us. I whispered, "I really thought I belonged here." Downstairs, Ethan called, "Are you still packing?" I wiped my eyes. "Coming." When I reached the front door, my mother finally looked at me. "Adrian." I waited. She opened her mouth, but no words came. I nodded. "I understand." My father turned away. Ethan smiled. Lily stepped forward. "I'm sorry." I looked at her. "I know." Then I opened the door. Cold air touched my face. For the first time, I understood something I had refused to accept. My family had not discovered that I was worthless. They had simply never taken the time to discover who I was. I stepped outside, carrying 1 bag and a broken heart. I did not know where I would sleep. I did not know what I would become. But as the door closed behind me, I made myself one quiet promise. I will never let their opinion decide my worth again. The room cost less than I expected because the owner did not ask many questions. 3 nights, the old man said. "Pay me Friday." "I can pay tomorrow." He looked at my bag. "You running from someone?" "No. I'm starting over." He shrugged. "Same thing sometimes." I sat on the narrow bed. I stared at my phone. No calls. No messages. I whispered, "Maybe Dad will call." An hour passed. Nobody called. I lay down, but sleep refused to come. My father's voice kept returning. You are worthless. Ethan's laughter followed. You have never been good enough for this family. I covered my face. I hate them, I whispered. But the words felt false. I still wanted my mother to call. I still wanted Lily to knock on the door. Most of all, I wanted my father to say, come home. My phone stayed silent. The next morning, I walked to a small cafe near the business district with the last cash in my wallet. Someone called my name. Adrian. I turned. Marcus. Marcus Reed stood behind me, holding a coffee. What happened to you? He asked. I looked down at my worn clothes. Long story. Sit. I followed him to a corner table. He studied my face. Your father threw you out, didn't he? I froze. How did you know? I know your family business. I know who kept it running. I stared at him. Marcus leaned forward. You think nobody noticed what you did? I noticed. Those words almost broke me. He continued. You solved supplier problems. You checked contracts. You caught mistakes. Ethan got the praise, but you did the work. I looked away. Then why didn't anyone stop this? Marcus sighed. Families can be blind. I asked, how is the company doing? He hesitated. That bad. Worse than you think. My stomach tightened. Ethan has made several careless decisions, Marcus said. The supplier deal you warned your father about? Yes. It already cost them money. I clenched my hands. He ignored me. I know. Is the company going under? Not yet. But if Ethan keeps making decisions like that, they could be in serious trouble. I laughed bitterly. Part of me wants to watch it happen. Marcus nodded. I understand. Do you? Yes. But revenge won't pay your rent. I looked at him. He smiled slightly. I have an offer. What kind? A small technology company needs someone who understands operations. The salary isn't impressive. I'll take it. You haven't heard the rest. I don't care. You may have to do everything. Accounts, suppliers, schedules, cleaning up mistakes. I smiled for the first time. I've done worse. Marcus laughed. Then meet Victor Hayes tomorrow. The next morning, I entered a tiny office with crowded desks. A man in a gray shirt stood behind a messy desk. You're Adrian? Yes. Marcus says you are good. I try to be. Victor pointed to a chair. What do you know about technology? Not enough. He raised an eyebrow. But I know how to learn. Victor sat down. What do you want? I thought about my father. Then I answered honestly. I want one chance. Victor studied me. Salary is low. I know. Hours are long. I know. You will make mistakes. I already do. Good answer. I started that afternoon. My first week was difficult. I entered one order incorrectly and cost the company a delivery delay. I messed up, I told Victor. You did. I'll fix it. How? I'll call the supplier, explain the mistake, and find the fastest replacement. Victor nodded. Do it. I did. The next week, I stayed late to rebuild a broken tracking sheet. Victor found me working late. You're still here. I want to finish it. Why? I looked at him. Because nobody is going to rescue me. Victor became quiet. Then he said, maybe you don't need rescuing. For the first time, I believed him. Weeks became months. I learned. I improved. Victor started trusting me with bigger problems. One evening, he placed a folder on my desk. You're handling this project. I looked at him. Me? Yes. Why? Because you earned it. I held the folder tightly. Nobody had ever said those words. I smiled. Thank you. Victor nodded. Don't thank me yet. Now prove me right. I opened the folder. For the first time since I left home, I wasn't thinking about revenge. I was thinking about my future. And that future belonged to me. Years passed, and I stopped counting them by birthdays. I counted them by projects finished, mistakes survived, and mornings when I wanted to quit, but showed up anyway. One night, I dropped a folder on Victor's desk. I'm done, I said. Victor looked up. Done with what? Everything. The company is losing money. Clients keep leaving. I'm working 14-hour days, and nobody notices. Victor closed his laptop. Sit down. I sat. He asked, why did you start working so hard? Because I had to. No. That was the reason you kept going. Why did you start? I thought about my family. To prove them wrong. Victor shook his head. That will never be enough. Why? Because if your whole life is built around proving someone wrong, they still control your life. His words stayed with me. So what should I do? Build something you respect. Become someone you respect. I stayed. I learned. I failed again. Then I tried again. Eventually, I noticed a problem many small companies faced. Their suppliers, orders, and deliveries were scattered across different systems. I saw a simple way to bring everything together. I showed Victor my idea. "You want to build this yourself?" he asked. "Yes." "That's risky." "So is leaving home." He smiled. "Then don't waste the opportunity." I left Victor's company and started my own. My office was one rented room with 2 desks, an old printer, and a laptop that crashed whenever I opened too many files. I stared at it and laughed. This is my empire? The computer froze. Apparently. My first month was terrible. A client canceled. Another refused to pay. Our savings disappeared faster than expected. One evening, I told myself, maybe Dad was right. The thought scared me. Then someone knocked. "Are you Adrian?" I opened the door. "Yes. I'm Sarah Bennett. Marcus told me you needed help." "I need everything." She smiled. "Good. I can handle everything." I hired her the next morning. Sarah became the person who kept our company alive. When I wanted to accept a bad deal, she stopped me. When I doubted myself, she reminded me why I started. One afternoon, she placed a report in front of me. "We have 3 months of operating costs left." I rubbed my forehead. "That isn't good." "No. What do you suggest?" "Stop trying to impress everyone. Focus on the clients who actually need us." I looked at her. "You really don't sugarcoat anything. You hired me because you needed someone honest." She was right. We changed our strategy. Slowly, things improved. 1 client became 3. 3 became 10. Our tiny office became crowded. Our old printer finally died. Sarah stared at it. "It has served us well." I laughed. "We should hold a funeral. You're paying for a new one." "Fair." Months later, I walked into the office carrying 2 coffees. Sarah looked up. "You're smiling." "I have a reason." "Tell me." I handed her my phone. She read the email. Her eyes widened. "Adrian." I nodded. "Our first international contract." She covered her mouth. "We actually did it." I looked around the office. The desks. The screens. The people working beside me. None of it belonged to my family. I had built it. Not Ethan. Not my father. Me. Sarah smiled. "You should be proud." "I am." Then Marcus called. I answered. "Marcus." His voice sounded serious. "You heard about your family's company?" I leaned back. "No." "What happened?" "It's losing money." I said nothing. "Ethan is running it now," Marcus continued. "He made several bad decisions. Suppliers are demanding payment, and employees are worried." I felt a strange satisfaction. After everything they said about me. "I know." I stared at the contract on my desk. They thought Ethan was the future. Marcus sighed. "Sometimes people learn too late." After the call ended, Sarah asked, "Was that about your family?" "Yes." "Are you happy?" I hesitated. I thought I would be. She waited. I looked through the window. I wanted them to regret throwing me out. But now that they're struggling, I don't feel as happy as I imagined. "Why?" "Because they're still my family." Sarah nodded. "That doesn't make you weak." I remembered leaving with 1 bag. Back then, I believed losing family meant losing everything. Now I understood their rejection had forced me to discover my strength. I was wounded, but I was no longer waiting for them. I looked at the company name on our wall. For years, I had dreamed of this moment. I had wanted success to silence every insult. But standing there, I understood something different. I hadn't become successful because my family was wrong. I had become successful because I finally stopped asking them to decide who I was. And that realization felt better than revenge. My company grew faster than I expected. Within a few years, I had become the CEO of a company that once fit inside one small office. People called me successful. I still remembered being called worthless. That was why I kept my family name out of company interviews and articles. Sarah once asked, "Why hide it?" "Because I don't want anyone thinking I built this just to defeat them." "You could tell the truth." I could, but I don't need their story attached to mine. She smiled. "You've changed." I hope so. By then, I had hired Noah Grant as my legal advisor. He was careful, patient, and almost impossible to surprise. One Monday morning, he entered my office carrying a thick folder. "We have a major proposal." I looked up. "From whom?" "A company that needs our technology and financial support." "What's their offer?" "It's more complicated than that." He placed the folder in front of me. I opened it. Then I saw the company name. My hand stopped moving. "That's not possible." Noah frowned. "You know them?" I stared at the page. "It's my family's company." Sarah slowly stood. "Your family?" I nodded. Noah looked at me carefully. "The company is in serious trouble." Their debts are growing, their contracts are failing, and they need a partner quickly. I closed the folder. Who requested the proposal? My understanding is that their chairman personally approved it. My father. Yes. I leaned back. After all these years, the company they believed I was too worthless to inherit had come to me for help. Sarah asked, "What are you going to do?" I didn't answer. She came closer. "Adrian, I don't know. You've imagined this moment. I imagined them regretting what they did. And now," I looked at the folder. "Now it feels different." Noah said, "You are not required to accept." "I know. You can reject them." I looked at him. "Can I?" "Legally, yes." I gave a bitter laugh. "Then why does it feel like there's more to the decision?" Noah sat down. "Because this isn't only business." I nodded. I remembered my father's finger pointing toward the door. "Pack your things." I remembered my mother's silence. Ethan's laughter. My own voice asking where I was supposed to go. Sarah spoke softly. "If you reject them, what happens?" "They could collapse." "How many employees?" Noah checked his notes. "Several hundred directly. More through suppliers and contractors." I closed my eyes. Those employees had never called me worthless. They had never thrown me out. They had families depending on their paychecks. I opened my eyes. "I don't want to save my family." Sarah waited. "I want to save the people who don't deserve to lose everything." Noah nodded. "That is a fair reason." I stood. "Set the meeting." Sarah looked surprised. "You're really going?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I need to know whether I can face them without becoming the person they expected me to become." The meeting was scheduled for Friday. I spent the next 2 days preparing. Not emotionally. Professionally. Noah reviewed the contract. Sarah reviewed the financial records. I reviewed everything twice. On Friday afternoon, I walked into the conference room. Noah followed me. Sarah entered behind him. I looked through the glass doors. For people were already waiting. My father. My mother. Ethan. Lily. My heart stopped for 1 second. I hadn't seen them together in years. My father looked older. My mother looked tired. Ethan looked nervous. Lily looked down at her hands. Sarah whispered, "Are you okay?" I took a breath. "Yes." "You don't have to pretend." "I'm not pretending." I opened the door. Everyone looked toward me. My father stood politely. "Mr. Cole, thank you for meeting with us." I almost smiled. He didn't recognize me. Ethan stood beside him. "I appreciate your company considering our situation." I looked directly at him. He still didn't know who I was. My mother gave me a polite smile. "It's good to meet you." I nodded. "It's good to meet you too." Lily stared at me for a moment longer than the others. "Have we met before?" I felt my chest tighten. "No," I said carefully. Ethan gestured toward the chair. "Please sit." I sat across from the family that had once watched me leave with one bag. Noah opened the contract. My father began explaining their situation. I listened quietly. Then he said, "We are hoping your company can rescue ours." Rescue. The word echoed inside me. Years ago, I had needed rescuing. Nobody came. Now they were asking me for it. I looked at my father. He had no idea who sat across from him. And somehow, that hurt more than I expected. I folded my hands. "Before we discuss the partnership," I said, "I have one question." My father nodded. "What would you do if the person you rejected years ago became the only person capable of saving you? Would you welcome him, or would you still call him worthless?" My father stared at me, confused. I waited quietly for his answer in silence. I looked at my father across the table. "What would you do if the person you rejected years ago became the only person capable of saving you?" He frowned. "I don't understand the question." Ethan laughed. "Is this some kind of negotiation tactic?" "No." "Then let's discuss the contract," Ethan said. "We don't have time for games." I looked at him. "You still haven't changed." He stopped smiling. "What did you say?" My father looked between us. "Do you know my son?" I held his eyes. "Yes." Ethan leaned forward. "Who are you?" I took a slow breath. "My name is Adrian Cole." The room went silent. My mother's face changed first. "No," she whispered. I continued. "I am the founder and CEO of this company." Ethan stared at me. Then he laughed. "That's impossible." Noah calmly opened his folder. "Mr. Cole, these are the incorporation documents, ownership records, and board resolutions confirming Adrian's position as Chief Executive Officer." Ethan snatched the papers. His eyes moved across the pages. "No." My father stood. "Adrian." I nodded. He looked at me as if I were a stranger. "My son." "Yes." My mother covered her mouth. "Oh my God." Lily stood frozen beside her. Adrian, she whispered. I looked at her. Hello, Lily. Tears filled my mother's eyes. You're alive. I mean, you're here. I've been here for years. My father shook his head. You built this. Yes. With what? Nothing. Ethan dropped the papers onto the table. You expect me to believe you built a company this large? No. The documents don't need you to believe me. His face tightened. My father stared at me. Why didn't you tell us? I almost laughed. You never asked. He looked down. I thought you were working somewhere. I was. For how long? Long enough to learn how to build something of my own. My father stepped toward me. Adrian, whatever happened between us, we can fix it. I shook my head. Can we? Yes. You threw me out. I was angry. You called me worthless. I made a mistake. You watched me leave. My mother began crying harder. I was afraid, she said. I looked at her. Afraid of what? She lowered her eyes. Your father. I swallowed. I needed you that night. I know. But you said nothing. I know. Then my father said, please. We need your help. I looked at the contract. You need my company. Yes. You need my money. Yes. You need me to take control. My father hesitated. If that is what it takes. I nodded. Then here is my offer. Ethan immediately said, wait. I ignored him. My company will acquire the failing parts of the business. Existing employees will keep their jobs where possible. Their salaries will be protected during the transition. I will restructure the debt and replace the leadership that caused the losses. Ethan stood. You mean me? Yes. You're taking my position? You are no longer qualified to hold it. His face turned red. You planned this. I looked at him calmly. No. You're lying. I didn't even know you would come to me until Noah showed me the proposal. You knew we were failing. I heard rumors. And you waited. I built my company. I didn't spend my life watching yours. My father raised his hand. Ethan, enough. Ethan turned toward him. You're choosing him? My father looked at me. I don't have a choice. Those words hurt. That's not true, I said. Everyone looked at me. You do have a choice. You always did. My father said nothing. I continued. When I warned you about that supplier contract, you ignored me. I thought Ethan understood the business. And when I asked you to listen, you called me worthless. I was wrong. You were. He nodded slowly. I am sorry. I wanted those words for years. Now that I had them, they felt strangely empty. I looked at Ethan. He was no longer laughing. His hands were shaking. You think this is revenge, I said. It is. No. You're enjoying this. I took a breath. I won't pretend seeing you frightened gives me no satisfaction. Ethan looked away. But I didn't build this company for revenge. Then why? Because I had nowhere else to go. I looked at my father. You pushed me out, and I refused to stay where you left me. My mother cried quietly. Lily whispered, I'm proud of you. I looked at her. Thank you. Then I closed the folder. I will save the company. My father looked relieved. But not because you're my family. His expression fell. I'll do it because hundreds of employees don't deserve to lose their lives over our family's mistakes. Ethan stared at me. You really changed. I nodded. I had to. Noah gathered the documents. Shall we proceed? Yes. The meeting continued, but I barely heard the numbers anymore. For the first time, they were not looking at me as the worthless son who had left with one bag. They were looking at me as the man who could decide their future. And strangely, I didn't feel powerful. I finally felt truly free in that moment. I looked at my father across the table. What would you do if the person you rejected years ago became the only person capable of saving you? He frowned. I don't understand the question. Ethan laughed. Is this some kind of negotiation tactic? No. Then let's discuss the contract, Ethan said. We don't have time for games. I looked at him. You still haven't changed. He stopped smiling. What did you say? My father looked between us. Do you know my son? I held his eyes. Yes. Ethan leaned forward. Who are you? I took a slow breath. My name is Adrian Cole. The room went silent. My mother's face changed first. No, she whispered. I continued. I am the founder and CEO of this company. Ethan stared at me. Then he laughed. That's impossible. Noah calmly opened his folder. Mr. Cole, these are the incorporation documents, ownership records, and board resolutions confirming Adrian's position as Chief Executive Officer. Ethan snatched the papers. His eyes moved across the pages. No. My father stood. Adrian. I nodded. He looked at me as if I were a stranger. My son. Yes. My mother covered her mouth. Oh my God. Lily stood frozen beside her. Adrian, she whispered. I looked at her. Hello, Lily. Tears filled my mother's eyes. You're alive. I mean, you're here. I've been here for years. My father shook his head. You built this. Yes. With what? Nothing. Ethan dropped the papers onto the table. You expect me to believe you built a company this large? No. The documents don't need you to believe me. His face tightened. My father stared at me. Why didn't you tell us? I almost laughed. You never asked. He looked down. I thought you were working somewhere. I was. For how long? Long enough to learn how to build something of my own. My father stepped toward me. Adrian, whatever happened between us, we can fix it. I shook my head. Can we? Yes. You threw me out. I was angry. You called me worthless. I made a mistake. You watched me leave. My mother began crying harder. I was afraid, she said. I looked at her. Afraid of what? She lowered her eyes. Your father. I swallowed. I needed you that night. I know. But you said nothing. I know. Then my father said, please. We need your help. I looked at the contract. You need my company. Yes. You need my money. Yes. You need me to take control. My father hesitated. If that is what it takes. I nodded. Then here is my offer. Ethan immediately said, wait. I ignored him. My company will acquire the failing parts of the business. Existing employees will keep their jobs where possible. Their salaries will be protected during the transition. I will restructure the debt and replace the leadership that caused the losses. Ethan stood. You mean me? Yes. You're taking my position? You are no longer qualified to hold it. His face turned red. You planned this. I looked at him calmly. No. You're lying. I didn't even know you would come to me until Noah showed me the proposal. You knew we were failing. I heard rumors. And you waited. I built my company. I didn't spend my life watching yours. My father raised his hand. Ethan, enough. Ethan turned toward him. You're choosing him? My father looked at me. I don't have a choice. Those words hurt. That's not true, I said. Everyone looked at me. You do have a choice. You always did. My father said nothing. I continued. When I warned you about that supplier contract, you ignored me. I thought Ethan understood the business. And when I asked you to listen, you called me worthless. I was wrong. You were. He nodded slowly. I am sorry. I wanted those words for years. Now that I had them, they felt strangely empty. I looked at Ethan. He was no longer laughing. His hands were shaking. You think this is revenge, I said. It is. No. You're enjoying this. I took a breath. I won't pretend seeing you frightened gives me no satisfaction. Ethan looked away. But I didn't build this company for revenge. Then why? Because I had nowhere else to go. I looked at my father. You pushed me out, and I refused to stay where you left me. My mother cried quietly. Lily whispered, I'm proud of you. I looked at her. Thank you. Then I closed the folder. I will save the company. My father looked relieved. But not because you're my family. His expression fell. I'll do it because hundreds of employees don't deserve to lose their lives over our family's mistakes. Ethan stared at me. You really changed. I nodded. I had to. Noah gathered the documents. Shall we proceed? Yes. The meeting continued, but I barely heard the numbers anymore. For the first time, they were not looking at me as the worthless son who had left with one bag. They were looking at me as the man who could decide their future. And strangely, I didn't feel powerful. I finally felt truly free in that moment. The call came late on a Thursday night. Adrian, it's Victor. I sat up. His voice sounded weaker than usual. Victor? Are you okay? I'm in the hospital. My heart dropped. What happened? Nothing dramatic. I'm sick. The doctors are treating me. I'm coming. You don't have to. I'm already leaving. When I reached the hospital, Victor smiled from his bed. You still don't listen. I learned that from you. He laughed softly. I pulled a chair beside him. Tell me what's wrong. I'll be fine. You said that when the company almost collapsed. And I was right. I shook my head. You scared me. Victor became quiet. There's something I should have told you years ago. What? Your first company. I frowned. What about it? When you started, you were running out of money. I remember. You almost closed the business. I remember that too. Victor looked at me. You didn't know why it survived. I stared at him. What did you do? I invested. I blinked. What? I put money into your company. Victor, why? Because I believed in you. You never told me. You were already fighting hard enough. I didn't want you thinking you owed me. I looked down. How much? Enough to keep you alive. I swallowed. Why would you do that? He smiled. Because someone had to believe in you before you learned to believe in yourself. My eyes burned. My family never did. I know. How? I watched them. I looked at him. Victor reached for my hand. Adrian, family isn't always the people who share your blood. I squeezed his hand. You were the father I needed. He smiled. And you became the son I was proud of. I stayed beside him for a long time. When I returned to the office, Noah was waiting. We have another problem. I looked at him. What now? He placed a file on my desk. I found additional debt records. Ethan's? No. My stomach tightened. Then whose? Your father's. I stared at the documents. How much? Enough to explain part of the company's financial collapse. I flipped through the pages. These loans are years old. Yes. Why weren't they listed? Because they were hidden. I felt something inside me break. My father borrowed against the company? Yes. I closed the file. Does Ethan know? No evidence suggests he did. I stood. I need to talk to Dad. I found him alone in his office. He looked up. Adrian. I placed the documents in front of him. What are these? His face went pale. Where did you get them? Noah found them. He sat down. You hid this. He rubbed his forehead. I can explain. You lied to everyone. I was trying to protect the company. You borrowed money without telling the board. I thought I could repay it. You couldn't. No. How long? 7 years. I stared at him. 7 years. Yes. You watched the company struggle while pretending everything was fine. I was afraid. Of what? Failure. I laughed bitterly. You called me worthless because you were afraid of being a failure? He looked at me. I was wrong. You built your whole life around looking successful. Yes. And when the company started falling apart, you hid the truth. Yes. Why didn't you ask for help? Because I was your father. That doesn't make you invincible. I know that now. I sat across from him. You blamed me for things you were too afraid to admit. He lowered his head. I know. For a moment, I wanted to expose everything. I imagined the headlines. I imagined everyone learning what my father had done. I imagined him finally feeling the humiliation I had felt. Then I remembered the employees. Their families. Their mortgages. Their futures. I looked at the documents again. If I expose everything publicly, innocent people suffer. My father looked up. What will you do? I'll restructure the debt. Why? Because I won't destroy hundreds of people just to punish you. He stared at me. You're better than I was. No. I shook my head. I simply refuse to become like you. He looked away. I don't deserve your mercy. This isn't mercy. Then what is it? Justice. I stood. You will disclose everything to the board. Every loan. Every hidden liability. He nodded. And I will fix what can be fixed. Why? Because employees shouldn't pay for our mistakes. My father whispered, thank you. I walked toward the door. Don't thank me yet. He looked at me. You still have to face the truth. I left his office feeling strangely calm. For years, I had believed revenge would heal me. Now I understood something deeper. I didn't need to destroy my family to prove they had hurt me. I needed to break the cycle they had created. Victor had believed in me when I had nothing. My family had demanded proof before offering love. That difference changed me. I had the power to hurt them. Instead, I chose to protect the innocent, tell the truth, and rebuild what they had nearly destroyed. For the first time, I wasn't choosing between revenge and forgiveness. I was choosing who I wanted to be. The company survived. The debts were restructured, the employees kept their jobs, and the board approved the changes I proposed. But the company I remembered was gone. The old power structure had disappeared with it. Ethan started at the bottom. One morning, he walked into my office. I need to tell you something. I looked up. What? I'm taking the junior business position. I know. No special treatment. None. He nodded. I deserve that. I studied him. Are you sure? Yes. I made mistakes, and I need to learn how to work without expecting people to save me. That answer surprised me. I hope you mean it. I do. He turned toward the door, then stopped. Adrian. Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't answer immediately. He left quietly. Later that day, my father asked to speak with me. He stood near the window when I entered. Sit down. I sat. He remained standing. I have spent months thinking about what I said to you. I knew what he meant. You called me worthless. His face tightened. Yes. He took a breath. That was one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I looked at him. Why did you say it? Because I was angry. That isn't enough. I know. He finally sat across from me. I was afraid Ethan would fail. I was afraid the company would collapse. I was afraid everyone would see me as a failure. So you made me the problem. Yes. His voice broke. I should have listened to you. You should have. I should have protected you. I looked down. You were my father. I know. For years, I imagined hearing those words. Now they didn't feel like victory. They felt like an ending. My mother came in next. She sat beside me and immediately began crying. I owe you more than an apology. I stayed completely silent. When your father told you to leave, I should have stopped him. Yes. I should have followed you. Yes. I was afraid. I looked at her. Everyone was afraid. She wiped her eyes. I failed you. I wanted to say it was okay, but it wasn't. So I told her the truth. I forgive you for being afraid, but I can't pretend nothing happened. She nodded. I don't expect you to. Lily entered later. She sat across from me. I always knew you could do this. I raised an eyebrow. Then why didn't you say it? She looked down. Because I was afraid Dad would turn against me too. I nodded. I understand. But I still regret it. So do I. She smiled sadly. I want us to have a real relationship now. I want that too. But, I looked at her. But we have to build it slowly. She nodded. That's fair. That evening, my father found me alone outside the office. Adrian. I turned. Can I ask you something? Yes. Do you hate me? I thought about the question. Years ago, I would have answered immediately. Now I needed time. No. His eyes widened. You don't. I don't want to spend my life carrying hatred. He looked down. Then you forgive me? I shook my head. Forgiveness isn't a magic eraser. He looked confused. I can stop hating you without pretending you didn't hurt me. He nodded. I understand. I hope you do. We stood in silence. Then he said, I'm proud of you. The words hit me harder than I expected. I closed my eyes for a moment. For years, I wanted his approval. I had imagined him seeing my success and finally realizing what he had lost. But standing there, I understood something. His approval was no longer something I needed. I had already built my life. I survived his rejection. I had already become the man I wanted to be. My father could be proud. He could be sorry. He could regret everything. None of it controlled me anymore. I looked at him. I hope we can become better people. He nodded. I hope so too. I walked back into the office. Sarah was waiting. How do you feel? I smiled. Free. She nodded. Finally. I looked around at everything I had built. For years, I had imagined their regret as my greatest victory. I was wrong. Their regret wasn't what healed me. Their apologies weren't what healed me. Their approval wasn't what healed me. I healed when I stopped needing any of it. And for the first time, that was enough. The company held its largest gathering since the acquisition Friday. I stood before our employees and looked across the hall. 3 months ago, many of you were afraid this company would disappear, I said. Today, your jobs are secure. Your contracts are protected, and our future is stronger than before. People applauded. I smiled, but I knew the applause wasn't for me. It was still for everyone who had stayed when things were falling apart. After the meeting, Ethan approached me. You handled that well. Thank you. He looked toward the employees. I understand something now. What? Being a leader isn't about having the biggest office. I smiled. No, it isn't. I used to think people had to respect me because I was Dad's son. And now I know respect has to be earned. I nodded. You're learning. I am. He paused. I'm going to keep working from the bottom. Good. I don't want another shortcut. That answer meant more to me than I expected. Later, I found my father in the operations department, checking reports beside the younger employees. You don't have to do that yourself, I said. He looked up. I know. Then why are you? Because I need to learn how to work without hiding behind my title. I smiled. You don't call yourself the head of the family business anymore. He shook his head. No. What do you call yourself? An employee trying to do his job properly. I laughed softly. That sounds better. He smiled. I think so too. My mother was helping the community relations team organize a program for employees' families. Lily stopped by my office before leaving. You coming home for dinner? I hesitated. Maybe next week. She smiled. I'll take that. Our family wasn't suddenly perfect. We still had deep wounds. We still had difficult conversations. But we were no longer pretending those wounds didn't exist. That evening, I stayed late. The office became quiet. I walked through the empty hallway, checking the lights. Then I opened a storage cabinet. Something caught my eye. A worn black bag. I froze. I knew it immediately. It was the same bag I had carried the night my father kicked me out. I pulled it from the shelf. For years, I had kept it because I thought I needed a reminder of where I came from. I opened it. Inside was a photograph. My family stood together in that picture. I remembered holding it on the night I left. Back then, I thought that photograph represented everything I had lost. Now I understood something different. It represented the boy I had been. A boy who wanted nothing more than to hear his family say, "You matter." I touched the photograph. "You did matter," I whispered. I looked at the bag. I just didn't know it yet. I didn't throw the bag away in anger. I didn't burn the photograph. Instead, I folded the picture and placed it in my desk drawer. I left the bag where it was. It could stay there. I didn't need to carry it anymore. As I walked outside, I passed the company logo on the wall. I stopped. Years ago, I had dreamed of becoming successful so my family would regret rejecting me. I thought money would silence them. I thought a title would prove them wrong. I thought seeing them work for me would be the greatest revenge. I was wrong. The victory wasn't becoming richer than my family. It wasn't watching Ethan lose his position. It wasn't seeing my father apologize. It wasn't even becoming a CEO. My victory was waking up one morning and realizing their opinion no longer controlled how I saw myself. They had called me worthless. I believed them for a while. Then life gave me a choice. I could spend years trying to prove them wrong, or I could build a life that proved nothing to anyone. I chose the second path. I stepped outside and looked at the city lights. I thought about the frightened man who had walked away with one bag. I wished I could go back and tell him something. You are not worthless. You never were. You don't need them to believe in you. You only need to believe in yourself. I finally smiled. The door closed behind me. I wasn't walking away from my family this time. I was walking forward with my own life. And for the first time, I knew exactly what I was worth now.